Good afternoon, LinkedIn Live. Tuesday, 12 o'clock, our usual show. Welcome to Hospitality Recovery Live. Look who I've got next to me today, Mr. John Benson-Smith, back for another. Hello, sir, how are you? Are you well?
Good, Nigel. Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. So, what have we got on the show today? Let me just get the show for you. Let me just talk you through. So, today's show, first of all, who's Nigel Mann? Nigel Mann, 35 years in the industry. Anything from sort of, pubs, restaurants, hotels, bars, through to stadia, contract catering, through to MSA, and that's what gives me the thing to do the show, Hospitality Recovery. People who basically, first of all, thanks for all the sort of people that, listen to the show and make it and sort of listen to the broadcast. Those people that basically send me messages and, my email's just gone mad. So those people that have emailed me on the show, please do keep those coming. My inbox has gone absolutely mental on the show, so thank you very much. Contact details for myself. So yeah, those people that know me, Nigel Mann, MANN, go into my LinkedIn. You'll get me from there. Also a new email address. So nigel.mann, MANN, at hospitalityrecovery.co.uk. We are working on the back there for a new consultancy sort of hospitality recovery website. So that's certainly on its way. All those goodies are on the way. Those people that basically good afternoon and hello, and just let you know where this show goes out to. I'm amazed where this show goes out to, So those people who are watching me on LinkedIn Live, watching for a bloke that comes on and sort of bumbles his way through the 12 o'clock broadcast, welcome to LinkedIn. It's also going out to Facebook, so there's people on Facebook Live, YouTube channel, which is Nigel Mann, and all the usual channels, Spotify, and all the way through to America. Podcast is Last Man Standing, going through to Spotify, say, Google, Apple, all the sort of things, Anchor FM, and thanks to those people. Those people that watch it, those people who listen to it, I know people watch on speakers and sort of, thanks to the gentleman basically last week who coming from Australia that, said he once wanted to listen to the podcast on the beach. So, it was raining when I was, but it's 40 degrees where he was. So I'm just amazed where this goes out to. So Last Man Standing podcast. Basically go out and get it, guys. There's some goods on there, and Yanis is on there I think this week, basically talking about students and how we put it in. So all those sort of goodies are there. A warning, I always put this warning out, it is a live show. I haven't got the facility to bleep it out, or you may hear some Anglo-Saxon words that quite clear. Stick your earbuds in, take your iPad, into another room. I know people watch it back to Alexa and sort of listen to it in the car, so you don't want to explain those words to the little ones. So just a warning, I've got my yellow and red cards. Our guests have been warned, have they not? Just talking through then. So basically, guys, we want to listen to the show. We want you to basically, people come through. Some people watch this back on replay, so if you're watching back on replay, certainly in America, press R, so it just gives us sort of analytics. And basically come on, say hello, and we'll basically bring you into the show and bring you through. More importantly, guys, we want your questions. We want your questions to John Benson-Smith, and we want basically to answer all he's going to come through. So, get those in. If you put a Q before it, it'll just basically let me allow to pick it out because this thing jumps around. So, all the way through there. So, a quick state of the nation. My usual state of the nation. So, where are we at this week, just for the podcast? We're basically just coming out of lockdown, aren't we? Yeah, and now the Boris has basically, the government have said which tiers we're in, tier 1, 2 or 3. Lots of controversy. If you've got any sort of comments on that, please pop them in the feed and we'll certainly discuss them through. Hotel pub sector, it's been a bloody awful year, hasn't it? 1st December, God, what an awful year it's been, it's just hotels, suffering, pub sector, really suffering, I must admit. Let's face it, Christmas is the time when it should be prosperous and sort of, it's that best time of the year, isn't it? Not this year. Most companies I talk to are talking about survival. Some of the hotels will not basically survive, let's face it, So lots of doom and gloom out there. We want to cut through that sort of noise. Wales is just going to 6 p.m. and obviously Scotland, just announced yesterday. The weddings and events market, come on, Boris, give us a date, for God's sake, give us a date to actually work to. Come on, it's just that events market, that wedding market, that mice market is absolutely devastated. And the night sector basically hasn't come through yet, has it? Some of those guys haven't earned any money since March. But enough of me babbling on. It's just, where are we at? Let's cut through the noise and get back to some stuff that's quite clear we need to have a look at. So first of all, let's just go to the sort of feed. Gosh, quite a few people coming through. Let me just have a look see who's coming through. So yeah, Matt Emerson, hi Nigel, looking forward to another great show. Yeah, Matt, hi, how are you? Did a great video in the weekend, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one. Andrew Beckett's there. Andrew's our tyres man. Hi guys. John Stapleford, yeah. Morning guys, how you doing? Morning John. LinkedIn user, you need to go to the top again, yeah, and just click on to, I don't know who that is actually, so go to the top, basically click into StreamYard, and basically you'll get that. Elena's on board. Hi Elena, both from Cheltenham. Who else we got on here? Hi everyone, another LinkedIn user. Ian Hetherington, yeah, Mr. Fish and Chips man, yeah. Ian's just basically got with the company, so yeah. Ian, morning, afternoon, good evening. Julie Banks, love these live broadcasts. Nice company. Julie in Northumberland. Thank you, Julie. Thank you. Hello from sunny Manchester today, guys. Another LinkedIn user. Basically, LinkedIn users you get, isn't it? Yeah, they don't basically come to the top. I don't know if that's LinkedIn or Facebook or what it is. I think it's the interface. So there you go. Hi, JBs. You probably know this one, JB. JB's waving, yeah, Zubair. So, hi, how you doing? So, let me basically introduce my co-guest, Mr. John Benson-Smith. Yeah. John, first of all, those people who... First of all, welcome, sir. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Those people that don't know John Benson-Smith, obviously we know you from MasterChef and Manchester scene and food scene and all that sort of stuff. John, for those people that don't know you, and God, where have you been? You're one of the best consultants in the business at the moment. So, who is John Benson-Smith? Just give us a quick overview, sir.
Wow, I don't know what to say, Nigel. Well, I'm nobody. I'm here today to try and help, get some infectious positivity into things. But to answer your question, 45 years in the industry, and that's a genuine 45 years. And I didn't start cooking when I was 2, by the way. Former judge on BBC MasterChef, the original flavour designers to Walker's Sensation Crisps, spent 20 years as a consultant chef to Manchester City Football Club, visited 48 hospitals within the NHS, done a lot of work for arts and culture and theatres, and a ton of stuff within restaurants and hotels, Middle East, events, banqueting. People say, wow, you've done a lot. I said, yeah, but I ain't 21, and these grey hairs are real, but still full of beans and wanting to really kind of help people and move into a better space, because like it or not, there's not a lot we can really do about the situation. And if we beat ourselves up anymore, then it's going to be tough for us to kind of, be able to pull trees up and have a better future, if that makes sense.
Wow, well, that's a big career, isn't it? Yeah, you don't look old enough, mate. I must admit, you look, yeah, that good looking young lad is basically on the Google and God knows what, He's a long career. Listen. Thanks for coming back onto the show. Appreciate it. Yeah, And last time John was on the show, sort of 2 weeks ago, was it? I can't remember. Sort of kind of slept since then. 2 weeks ago, we sort of John come on and Google it, go onto my YouTube channel. Yeah, go and listen to that back channel. But when we did the last show, John, yeah. You talked about a 20-point plan, and we knew it was going to be a Ken Dodd moment where we ain't got enough time on the show. Turn the lights off at 12 o'clock, and quite clearly, we sort of said that. And we sort of, had a conversation yesterday that what do we put back in? And my sort of email sort of lit up, and I guess loads of questions. And the way I'm going to flag it up to you is basically, I think it came up like this. Is what did JBS mean by? Yeah, what did he mean by sheep and wolf? What do you mean by design? What do you mean by the money's changed and God knows what? So what I've done, I've just out sort of some little bits, and I want to talk to you about different subjects. So I sort of flagged up. I guess I've got the top 5 sort of things that people said to me. What did JBS mean by? What do you mean by this? So the first one I want to talk to you, John. I mean, I'm going to lead you in here. So the first one I want to talk to you about is you talked about big leadership is needed. Yeah. So I guess my first question to you is what did you bloody mean by big leadership is needed? Just talk me through. What did you mean?
Well, I think we're all very aware of the situation within hospitality. I think there's a lot of angry people, a lot of fed up people, a lot of people in a terrible situation mentally and financially and all the rest of it. There's an issue with jobs and businesses closing, etc. But I want to talk about a kind of recovery, which I think is really important. Otherwise, it's a tough industry anyhow, Nigel, and has been. We could argue that 30 or 40 years earlier, before you were born, it was even tougher. But I think it's remaining positive, and it's looking forward to pulling up those kind of trees, if that makes sense. So the way I look at this, and I look at things in a very simple way, also I'm told, is big leadership is needed more than ever. We were probably ballroom dancing in 2019, or before that, and now it's kind of a mix of Mad Max and Rambo, because the whole scene in which we exist in is completely and utterly different. And I tend to see management being very different to leadership. I mean, I couldn't manage anything. That's possibly a lie, but I'm not a very good manager, and I get bored. But leadership, I'm up and off, and I'm dragging people behind me or attempting to. But a lot of the detail of things, I've no idea, and I'm great at delegating. And that stupid expression that says never ask anybody to do something you wouldn't or couldn't do yourself, I think's mad. That's, if you're a leader, you're constantly asking people to do things you can't do yourself. That's why you have them. So bringing people on your journey is really important. And I think, let's remember that the world has changed, and there's a need for directors. Now, I'm not talking about Companies House. I'm talking about people that have one of these, the conductor's baton, that are saying to the oboes and the celloists, right, trumpets, sort yourselves out. Tambourine, louder. Come on, guys, let's play this thing. So I think that's what I'm saying about leadership. And it's the mentoring, it's the tutoring of youth, or actually people that are older than you. It's taking everybody on a journey to say, that's where we are, that's what we can control, that's what we cannot have any effect upon. We've got to build a better future. And it's a different style of work, is leadership compared to management. And it's also having a go at preempting. What I tend to think is that when you've got deep mud, you need big feet, and big feet probably needs big Wellingtons, if that makes sense. And that's, I'm not being disrespectful to anyone that's got small feet, but you know my kind of thinking. COVID has definitely forced strong decision making, where you've got to kind of make decisions on where you are and where you're going to be. And leaders have a responsibility to translate situations. And commonly the businesses I've worked with, and I've probably been in consultancy for the last 15 years. And my consultancy was born out of, this sounds terribly pompous, demand, or people saying, can you come and help us? It wasn't one where I was kind of, fed up or washed up or confused. It was very much so I'm very used to kind of working with different kind of companies. But people will also, they'll send me a 45-page document, and I'll look at it, and I want to know what it says on the front. So in other words, as a leader, I want to know what it says, what it means, what's the implications, what does good look like, what's the gap, and how you can move things on. Does that kind of make sense? I think, a leader has got to be somebody that looks at the trends within the market. Okay, I'm aware of the trends within COVID, but you've also got to look at someone that understands trends and is, works out, are we going to copy, are we going to follow, or are we going to be real kind of, the first at new ideas? You've got to be a dictator. Sometimes democracy isn't a good thing, particularly when you're entering a time in the world at the moment. There's got to be someone that makes those tough decisions, someone that is a futurist. And sometimes you need those Brian Clough moments, where we all talk about it, but we all agree I was right. And if you go back to Henry Ford, when he built the car, it was any colour you like as long as it's black. So that's where leaders are more important than ever, and they're on trial more than ever. But I think it's that stepping up to the plate. Someone that, I used to laugh and joke about someone that turns on the windscreen wipers to say, this is where we are. We can say, we can kind of see where we're going to go. Someone that's not wishy-washy, because this is going to be a whole new way forward. And even though it's tough and horrible and difficult, we can make that exciting. We can rediscover our brands, we discover our businesses. And let's be honest about it. There are a number of business Nigels that have done really well out of this. And we shouldn't castigate them. We should actually celebrate their successes. But I'm sure we've all learned about things within business. I used to travel 4.5 hours to Putney to have a 45-minute meeting and travel back. I mean, the world's a different place. So we've got to think and plan about pulling up the tree. So the people that are saying, right, we're off, this is the future, attack, World War One, come on, guys. I think that's really important to us.
Yeah, I think you're quite right. I think, with the leaders, the world's changed, hasn't it? That business shift has changed, the sort of mindset's changed, and we spoke about this yesterday. A great sort of opening to the show, and sort of we could do a 2-hour show, but I guess basically it's the difference between what is the manager of the world that was, and what is the world the manager that is today and is coming. Yeah, it's a totally different leadership, and so I use the word manager. It's a leader. Yeah, and I guess there's a question for you, John. It's basically, what is the difference between a leader and a manager in hospitality? What's the difference? It's the same, isn't it? Or is it? Is it not? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I suppose if you look at a title, the manager is managing, where the leader is leading. I haven't answered your question. From my experience, they're very different animals. I've worked with some fantastic managers, but they're very, very different to the leaders. Often the leaders I work for, like Charles Allen and Jerry Robinson and those kind of guys, they've got no idea about, the physical managing of that business. They just give you the inspiration, the direction. So I think, if you look at, there's two really good kind of couple of minutes bits of video on YouTube. One is by Stephen Covey called Big Rocks and Small Rocks. That's a really good piece to watch. That's about how you do things and what the important things are and what are the unimportant things. And I think that in itself is a leadership skill. Also, there's a piece on YouTube called How Wolves Change Rivers at Yellowstone. And that is about when they first introduced wolves into Yellowstone Park, how that had a miraculous difference. And again, that reminds me of when you introduce a leader, or a leader has a bit of a kicking and they suddenly wake up to say, right, there's a mission, how can we move things on? And I'll shut up a minute. We talked last week about, are you a sheep, are you a wolf? Are you going to go hunting? Are we going to attack the future? Are we going to come out with resolution and new ideas and drive? Or are we going to sit back? I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong, but the way I looked at this, Nigel, was if you get on a bus, right, you have to go, you have to sit in a certain place. You have to go at certain times, and you have to follow where everybody else goes. Or you get in a taxi or your own car. When you get in a taxi or your own car, you can go wherever the hell you like. So I think that whole thing about where are you going and what's your style is really important. Makes sense?
Yes, I guess what you're saying is it's the same destination. It's how you get to that particular journey, isn't it? And it's like we're saying. It's quite clearly, this world's changed, hasn't it? It's sort of a digital world. It's fast paced. It's sort of diverse. And what we were doing basically 6 months ago isn't what we're doing now. Those sort of people. Going back to yours on the last broadcast, we said basically, the same thing, same time, all the way through, you get the same results. Yeah. So I guess what we're saying is it's totally different, and I guess we make it complicated, don't we? I mean, we do. We make it absolutely complicated, but our customers' experience and our customers' journey, our customers' buy-in has totally changed. Yeah, the landscape's changed. Certainly in hospitality, So, and I guess what, just to sum that up, John, is basically there's three things, isn't there, that basically has changed. I mean, there's three things that a leader is the right attributes, and one of the things is change. He talks about sort of, just looking at change. Are you going to base the change? Business life. You're sort of, who are you dealing with? Who are you listening to? What are you, are you listening to the noise? How are you going to basically make that change? And there's a great thing that great leaders look round corners. Then it talks about, what one talks about is diversity and sort of, how are we embellishing diversity? What's different? What's going to make us absolutely different? People send out the CVs, and here's me doing a show. Here's me doing something different. Try and get the message out there. But it's about solutions. It's about different ways. It's about sort of the business has changed and the mind shift has changed. And then the third one for me is about courage, isn't it? It's about sort of how courageous are you to actually get out there and actually do it.
Yeah.
And sort of make it through. So that's what you're saying, isn't it? In a nutshell.
Yeah, I think leaders have had the time or if they have used that time effectively is up to them or the situation. Sometimes it is very difficult to rethink. And I think we've all learned things. And I think you kind of, you understand how it's been. We can't affect that. You understand the rules of the game going forward regards distance and social distancing and all the rest of it, don't you?
Yeah.
You've got a market that has got used to not eating within hospitality or having events.
Yeah.
Those they've swayed off, and I think, if we have time today without doing a Ken Dodd, the piece on the money has moved is that we're all still eating. People are just eating elsewhere. So that's where we've got to be kind of think. But leadership, to me, it's about, and I've spent 70% of my time in the last 3 years working in the Middle East, with Arabs, which are magical people and fantastic opportunities, and they're quite demanding set of guys. And they're smart. It's tribal. You remember, I don't know, you're far younger than me, but when you're at school, you had gangs, Nigel, in the olden days. It's about tribal mentality, isn't it? And it's about getting the right people in your team and your tribe and whatever with that leader to say, but the leader has a responsibility to say, where are we going to go? What are we going to change? It's up to them to involve the team. And I think that leaders in the present situation, they've got a very, very heavy badge. They're going to be judged more than ever. We thought leaders were important previous. This is going to be some real kind of tough stuff, if that all kind of makes sense.
Yeah, there's a sort of bit of, I say just doing the sort of research. Is 1% of leaders at the moment aren't equipped for. Sorry, only 1% are equipped. Yeah, to basically lead the way forward. Yeah, in the modern world. Yeah, so I guess basically visionary and all that. It's all about trust, and I guess what we talked about there is it's about feelings, isn't it? It's about sort of, they're not instructions. Yeah, to be a good leader is about sort of your feelings and how you basically. It's not a set of instructions. That's a manager's job. Well, the leader is all about creating the vision.
Yeah, but sometimes a leader's got to say, sorry guys, this is not optional. It's not open to discussion. And I'm deaf. Goodbye, darlings. This has got to happen. Listen, you can choose what to do regards what kind of toothpaste and the colour of the napkin, or even if we have them at all, I'm not really bothered. But it's those big, important decisions that you've got to make. So you've got to have a vision. It's all very well knowing where you are, but you've got to begin to. So trend watching, which is a very, very modern thing, is really important. It's important to understand how COVID has affected the business. Fine, but that ain't difficult to work that one out. Where is the market going to go? And some of that stuff does look quite silly and piffle, because you're in the middle of COVID and people are talking to you about fad diets and food halls, and they're talking to you about unpacked shopping. I would urge anybody to put trend watching in food and beverage or food or retail or whatever, and begin to understand the probability of how it's going to go. Yes, you look at veganism, and you look at how that whole thing is big and plant-based and minimizing food waste. Okay, again, compared to COVID, it's piffle, but it's what affects the market. And you look at, I could talk all day about milk alternatives, which many of us will say, well, who's bothered? Yeah, but your end customer is. And that customer has spending more time in retail. The industry's never sold so many tables and chairs and pots and pans and plates and cutlery at home. So people are used to being at home. We've all rediscovered that whole basic of washing up and making our chili con carne. And I've got a video of Cyrus Toddywaller on today, who's a star, by the way. And I'm going to make that dish tonight. And they've never spent so much time probably in and out of supermarkets. And the supermarket guys, they are switched on animals. They're looking at catering, they're looking at food service, and those guys are onto it. So I think, going back to the point in the beginning, having the opportunity to rethink what we're doing. Yeah. So I would say, Nigel, that, that whole piece about, or let's kind of move on to that in a minute if you want to. But I think that's about where the money goes, if you know what I mean. It's up to you.
Yeah. And I'm very impressed there, JBS. JB, you actually got that through without any swearing. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate that one. Because that's not the that's not what you said yesterday, is it? Yeah, happy days. But yeah, I mean, I know how passionate you get about that. So let's just go and see what the people are saying. You know, let's go through. So JB's, will an exceptional kitchen restaurant look like in 2 years' time? What will it look like? Yeah.
Well, okay, I would say the probability is it's going to be smaller. It's going to be smarter. And I mean smarter as in regards its design and its layout. We're all going to be beginning to think about time and motion and ergonomics of design and how things physically work, because there's going to be more of a pressure on as regards costs. But an exceptional kitchen, 2 years' time, wow. There'll probably be less kitchens, and I'm still an advocate of the central production. You know, if you begin to think of the pressure on everybody regards cost now, I think some of the off-site production of quality food, I still maintain I could get a Marks and Spencer's meal and stick it on a Villeroy plate and make it look sexy and stick it in some restaurants. And I'm not saying you get away with it, but some of those retail products are getting really good. So people within kitchens need to be really, really smart and clever. And I think allergens and that whole thing about veganism, understanding where the market is and what customers want is really, really important. Within your brand, do not be afraid of fast food. I'm not talking nasty, but I think you've definitely got to begin to think of, if you sell a product in a box or a packet or into the back of a car, or it's a takeaway, a carry out, it's the home delivery, it's a meal kit, who cares? That kitchen needs to, the old days, Nigel, where chef would stand at the hot plate, as I used to hundreds of years ago, and the waiters would be there with the tables and chairs when the customers. That, to me, if you're smart, you're going to say, right, we're boxing stuff up for a local school because we're now the caterer there, the restaurateur. Yes, our product goes out in a box. We do carry-outs. We do meal kits. I'm not saying vending, but a kitchen needs to be a group of food makers and food servers that sell food in different directions. Yeah. Let's be smart and let's start to stick our noses into retail. And the amount of people that I've seen that have got little shops within pubs, some of that stuff is amazing. I went to a restaurant the other night, and it's the first time I've ever been to a restaurant, and we went in our car and we pre-ordered our food, and they had my reg number, the colour of my car. They met us. They had face masks on. They had a box. It had instructions. The packaging was fantastic. They thought through all the elements, and we actually sat in our car like saddos in the car park and ate our meal. But it was like that I'm not going to say fine dining. It was a fantastic experience in a box. Yeah. So now I could go and eat, hopefully in the future, with the dining experience, Nigel, or I could actually get that product frozen. I could go and, have it cooked for tomorrow. There's a different ways of selling your brand.
Cool. And John, I'm not going to get you off that easy because you talked there about retail, yeah? And we talked about sort of very quickly, because there's loads on here, John. God, there's loads of questions. Just talk us through Market Kitchen with Morrison's, which I know you've been involved with. So just talk me through that. Just talk me through the concept, how do you come about, and sort of tying kitchens in, and sort of talk us through. Because you're heavily involved with that, aren't you?
Yeah. So I've done quite a lot within my career, and if I drop dead tomorrow, I'm pretty good because I feel as though I've done a lot. I've got a lot of experiences, and I've done a lot of adventures within food. But one area I've never been involved with was regards retail, seriously. And I started talking to the team at Morrison's probably about 2.5 years ago about their kind of vision of where they wanted to take their whole style of food within that supermarket. So I've been working for those guys for about 2.5 years as their kind of sole consultant. And Morrison's vision was, if you imagine 2 lumps of pastry, Nigel. This is food service catering, and this is retail supermarkets. And even though we all think they're similar, they are not. The mentality, the whole way in which their methodology and how they trade and think about food is so different. So Market Kitchen was mashing those two markets together, because Morrison's had worked out that customer wants it fresh and they want it fast, and they want it when the customer wants it. Yeah. So the rules have now changed, and they want to be able to, if the customer cannot see it being made and they have to rely on a photo, it's probably lying. So they want to see fresh food, made each day by real chefs, and they want to have it quick and fast. So within Morrison's, for example, there will be a pan of soup. Well, sorry, start again. Rolling stock, which will always be vegetarian, Nigel. So my soups are always vegetarian. They're always vegan, okay? Yeah. Always. Yeah. Rolling stock, and on the ton it'll say, ladies and gentlemen, we're now about to make this morning's cauliflower soup. It's now 11:10. The soup will be ready at past, okay? And I'll have a load of smashed up cauliflower, which I'll then, celebrate. This is from Mr. Muggins's farm at Driffield or somewhere. I've no idea. And then I will then oof the cauliflower into the rolling stock. No garlic, no onions, don't put fennel in it. If you get the celery out, I'm in a bad mood. It's all about purity of the product. And we will then cook the hell out of it for 3 or 4 minutes. And we will then liquidize that in front of the customer in a dirty, great big, liquidizer. We'll then season it, and that soup is now ready for you. So the customer has the education of seeing there's no crap in it. There's no bizarre. It's all about celebrating cauliflower. That's just a soup. I can talk all day. Okay. But the retail supermarkets, we probably took, I'm guessing now, 100 chefs from the market that are now working within retail. And I don't apologize for that, because, I think the faces of those people that went to work for Morrison's in some wow kitchens that we've created within Morrison's. And the one in Manchester, Nigel, underneath the supermarket, we've got a proper kitchen with all sorts of stuff in it. Yeah. So, answer your question.
Yeah, sure. I mean, for those people that haven't seen the market sort of kitchen project, go and have a look at it. It's a different project, isn't it? So I want to whiz through all the sort of things underneath. Let's just whiz through these, John. So Mark In's basically talk about something new. He's just written a book. So basically, well done, Mark. It's on Amazon. Yeah, just give him a quick plug for that. So if you want to go and look at it, Mark's there. Go with Mark Hind. Janny's saying, hi, spot on. A different way of working is key. Absolutely right. Jan's from the Hospitality Partnership and doing some great stuff out there. So, yeah, that's that one. JBS, wealth of experience from Dom. You obviously know Dom. Yeah. Big ears for that. That's true. Look around the corners. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jason. That is something that, I mentioned basically mine. Diversity is basically great leaders look round corners. That's almost as bad as your, or as good as basically, we want to know your competitor's dentist, isn't it, John? I mean, quite clear that's that one. Look for ideas, so importance of finance with tight, new, cost-effective ways and how to be explored. I think you're quite right. Back to how it should be and how it was. Yeah. Okay. So
can I just interrupt? So John Stapleford's point there, I like that, John. Well done. I think some of the olden days mentality is probably going to come back into play. I think it's the days, Nigel, now of. Do you remember in the olden days, when the accountant at 11:45 had to take the jacket off and come downstairs, and they go on the wash up for 10 minutes, and they go and do the bills, and the manager would come into service and help on the hot plate. I think this is an opportunity for us all to. I love admin, and I love all the machines that make things and the screens and all that stuff. Let's not forget the best way forward is let's be cookers and let's be servers. That whole thing about let's rejoice and enjoy smiling customers and creating great food and becoming famous for that. The admin's important. All the rest of it's important. But I think there's some really good stuff. And I think that's probably what John's point is.
Yeah, and that's important, isn't it? I mean, I guess the other one to add to that is great food, great service. Yeah, so we talk
the best PR you can get, Nigel. You don't need advertising for that.
Yeah,
but what we've got, keep, and don't let them wander off elsewhere.
There you go. Let's move on. Great people follow great leaders. Yeah, I think Matt's absolutely right, isn't he? It's the people you attract, isn't it? It's a sort of going back to who you're dealing with, who you're listening to. We can all cut through the noise and all cut through the sort of rah, but it's about what we do about it. It's about getting on and doing, isn't it? Yeah, it's about great leaders follow great people. So I totally agree, Matt. John, you got anything to say on that, or?
No, but I think leaders have, I think let's have some fun.
Yep.
It's when you look back at who you used to work for and the memories and experiences and the daft thing you did and the great stories you can tell. That's what it's all about, isn't it? It is about money. It is about conditions. It's living for today, and it's being part of that gang.
Indeed. Well, let's move on. Definitely not nobody, a master mentor with a detailed operational mind. I think they're talking about you there, John, are they? Yeah, JB's. Yeah, is that the entree for your book? Is it? Yeah. So definitely nobody. Yeah. If we always do what we do, we get done. We've always basically got what we got.
Well said, Simon.
Yeah.
Good
You
one.
know. You mentioned that on the last one, didn't you? It's and just talk us through that, John. I mean, basically, just talk us through, your sort of who was it in your career that basically said that? Yeah, whose quote was
Well,
it?
I mean, some of the people I've worked for, like and even when you work for somebody for a few days or whatever. So Michael Quinn, first English head chef of the Ritz, Nico Ladenis. I can, those kind of people that you rub shoulders with, you begin to get influenced by their mentality. So, and etc. But also some of the people that have no idea about food or weren't really interested, as I mentioned, the guys from Granada Television, they heavily influenced my thinking. Charles Allen was an absolute kind of, what are we here to achieve? Are we surrounded by people to achieve it? If not, change it. End of story. You talk to Jerry Robinson, who was very kind of pictorial regards. But my point is, I worked for a guy called Gary Cook, who used to be, I think, one of the tops at Nike before he became the CEO at Manchester City Football Club. And Gary, I was a consultant chef there for donkey's years at City, and Gary wasn't afraid of talking to anybody and everybody. And Gary, if you talk to him about products, Gary would say, at Nike, it was easy. We had a fantastic product. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And Gary would also lecture me on things like, if you think the same, say the same, behave the same, lead the same, JB, when you make the bloody scones, it's the same ingredient, the same butter, the same this, the end result's the same. It's the same in leadership and management. So you've got to change the whole parameters, and the landscape of what we're in is now different. So welcome that, embrace it, and drive it forward.
Yeah, I think you're quite right. I mean, myself and Simon talked about this basically Coffee Club on Monday. It's sort of about, even job seekers, it's sort of different now, isn't it? You don't send your CV off and stuff like that. You've got to be different. You've got to basically step outside your comfort zone and do video and sort of, de-risk yourself and sort of that in the business. So, Simon, you're absolutely right. It's the world's changing. It's digitally changing. It's get involved with it, embrace it, embellish it, otherwise you're going to be dead in the water. You really are. So, good point there, son. Yeah. So, Mark, let's see what I said. How do we get managers to become great leaders so they do not only do the process but also they inspire, motivate, and direct their people?
Sorry, Nigel. I would say, I mean, certainly when I've been managing director on 2 occasions, God forbid, and I kind of learned to empower people to make real decisions. And in fact, one of my management, we used to have a 10 at 10 every single morning where the management would come along. And they used to dread it because on my way to work, I'd been doing the fruitcake new ideas, and I gave them all a little mirror each. And 1 or 2 of them smiled because it was like, the next time you lot ask me a question, look in the bloody mirror and answer it yourselves. You've got a real title, a real job, a real responsibility. You make the decision. And I think, I know that's not always possible, but I very much was like, you are real people. You make real decisions. You manage my business, hopefully. I just muck around leading it. I had a different approach to things.
Yeah, and you certainly have got a different approach. I mean, we can see that. It's just, you don't feel so. You don't think like a normal manager. It's just, JB's, we done lots of stuff together. So it's and that's a clean version, of course. You know what I mean? So, but no, I mean, you do think totally differently. You do think sort of, the way you think, and you sort of, very since yourself. Change, diversity, courage. That's all you. Listen, we've done 3/4 now. You okay for the next 10 minutes or so? Because as usual, yeah, we touch on the subject, and it's the Nigel and Johnny show, every week, I think. But let's just do some more. So Jason's saying, think a bit more granular, look at the community activity, and provide opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
That whole community thing and really, really, really supporting the local guys is absolutely essential. Decide where you're going to spend your money and have a conscience. Let's not give it this, but actually go off and do something else. Really important. Jason, I love you.
Yep. Okay. Simon's back again. So Simon asked basically, what is it when a CEO that has overseen demise of a business can and often does walk into another senior leadership role?
Simon, no different than to football. End of story.
Okay, so basically,
Simon, you're totally right. No different to football.
Okay, so totally agree. Football managers is the thing there. Bit of a tour, obviously, so you might have to look over the top, JB. Yeah, God, let's just talk this and I'll take it off. So Stephen Armstrong asked basically, hey JBS, the industry has been impacted gradually, shrinking margins, payroll, F&B costs, rising costs, resistance from customers and consumer over the years. Has COVID given the impetus to change this industry? And if so, how could it change and how could we drive it? I'm going to take that off, actually. Yeah, you okay with that, John? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I like that one, Stephen. Why? Okay, to me, if I go back in history to when I was a little apprentice chef in 1974 or 75, desserts were £2.50, right? How long ago was that, Nigel? 45 years. Look at the price of desserts. If anybody puts it above £7, unless it's a Michelin star, we have a riot. Food is too cheap. Yes?
Yeah.
And with all due respect to our industry, it's been asset stripped. The companies have been bought and sold. Yeah. What I'm saying is let's pare it back to being more sensible. I think if you want to have vouchers and do 2-for-1s, get on with it. But don't cry because you'll halve everything. Give proper service, great training, proper investment, be professional, design fantastic products. Stick to your prices and be good at it, or the demise will hit you of margins. Let's be honest about it. If you put your food prices up by 5% a year, there'll be a riot. But utilities will go up by more than 5%. Your wages, all your overheads, your fixed, your variables, your food. All that happens is you're going to be in the crap. So, as an industry, we need to stop the damn vouchers, please. I'm very, let's create awareness. Let's create PR. Let's become famous. But voucher world has killed us. Your customers will never pay proper prices because it's half price or whatever. That's my point. There's a thought process, Nigel, that says let people go out twice a month to eat and let it be wow. Yeah, opposed to eating twice a week and a crap margin and it's rubbish. And then we wonder why we can't train and we can't afford and we don't invest. Sorry, it's tough stuff, but the model is nearly broken. Let's learn from that.
Yeah, I know. We've had a conversation. We share the same, in the conversation of the day and behind the scenes we have conversations. But I think we share the same playbook on this. Do not drop your quality. Yeah, do not drop your quality, even in the tough times. And those vouchers, those 2-for-1 vouchers, and short term. Come on, guys. You got to ask yourself: do they actually return to your business, and what impact they have on your business? It's a short term gain, but I guess the clear message there is quality is key, isn't it? Yeah, your service, your products, what you're serving, how you serve it. Do not drop your quality. So yeah, but great question though. I must admit. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Let me just whiz through. For your well done. Thank you, Nigel. Yeah, thank you. Julia Lucy asked, what is trending with food dishes overseas? So, John, you do a lot in Saudi and God knows what. So, what's the trend and what spectaculars we're looking forward to? Big question. If you answer this one.
Okay, when I've been looking at Saudi Arabia, that's just taking off left, right, and centre massively. What's trending in food dishes over there? All sorts of stuff. My work in Kuwait is a little bit similar. I can't answer that question sat here to say it's Mexican, it's whatever. I would say, though, in the Middle East, franchising is having a tough time. That model, it's expensive. It's hard over there. What I would say is the Middle East, I was shocked. Forget Abu Dhabi and Dubai. The only time I've ever been there was a transfer in the airport. But you look at Kuwait, I'll tell you what, there's some stuff out there that would blow London's socks off. You look at what's happening in Saudi, some of that stuff is absolutely amazing. So we need to stop this whole mentality about we're better and we're going to educate. The world's catching up and there's a lot of exciting things. But that goes back to get onto trend watching, understand what goes on in the market. The management part of trend watching is really important. When you start, multi-purpose restaurants we've talked about and connected consumers. And, there's a piece last night I saw that was saying that the UK has the worst customer service probably in Europe. On average, if you have an issue in the UK with customer service, it takes 48 hours for someone to get back to you. What I'm saying is the trends are that customers want to be respected, understood. They don't want to get blanket marketing. They want to be selfish. They expect responses from stuff. I've not answered your question, but we'll have a Ken Dodd moment, and then Nigel will be getting grumpy at me saying,
absolutely,
we spent 5 hours talking about whatever.
We talked about you, absolutely. There you go. But no, that's important, isn't it? I mean, good question though, Julie. I mean, basically, if anybody can answer that, I mean, John, is it presentation? Is it food? Is it cooking? Is it consumer? Just very quickly, because I know we don't have some of this too much. But what is it? What is it in Saudi that basically, or the other content, sort of culture? Is culture? Is it? What is it? What's
I think it's concept and interior design that's fantastic out there. Also, I find generally that when it comes to kitchen equipment and fit out, walls, floors, ceilings, extract and ventilation, and all the rest of it, they spend proper money on proper gear. And I know everyone's saying, well, they've got bottomless pockets. No, they haven't. Yeah. Their fit out and their respect for training and development and those things is more it's fairer. In the UK, I love everybody, but it's half the time it's done on the cheap. Or the big thing is we have to start to control our employees and make, we have to put more time and effort into a better environment. We need to feed them and give them things to drink and love them and mentor them and tutor them and take them on the journey so we all improve. And customer service to me is probably more important nowadays, Nigel, than food.
Yeah. I mean, we call it yesterday, what do you call it? F and B's, didn't we? FB.
Well, yeah, it's food and beverage, but there's also something called service and experience. And if you look back in history, about 150 years ago in Paris, it was all about when you went into a building, the experience you had, and what you paid, and when you left. What I'm saying, Nigel, is you have to enter a restaurant or an establishment and leave in a better frame of mind and in a better state mentally than when you went in. That will make you spend and enjoy it again.
Yeah. Okay, Jamie, so let me just crack on with another couple. Alan says, yeah, with the old ways come back via those of us who remember it. Yeah, and Alan's, yeah, I know he's talking about there. Or will the new executive owners force a new normal? Instead, that will affect the outcome and the force of a new view, I worry.
Well, I think some customers are going to come back because of their relationship with restaurants and the history, and I'm good with that. Some of them is going to be difficult to convince them to come back as they were before, if that makes sense. So we've got to try harder. We've got to smile more and be more preemptive about service, and we've got to be. It's about understanding the demographics of your customers, Nigel, and that ain't difficult. What they drive, what watches they wear, what coats they wear, what shoes they wear, even what glasses they wear, and talking to them, you can work out probably what product you can design that's attractive to the customer.
Yeah, it's about having that fit, isn't it? It's about knowing your customers, right the way down to their dentist, as you call it. I like that saying. It's absolutely knowing who your customers are, what the demographics are. And we all talk about Generation X, Generation Y, and all that sort of ABC households. But it's about basically having the right products for the right customer, isn't it?
And if you don't love them, and if Nigel, with my wife, unless I say to her on a regular basis, I love you, and I buy her flowers and I'm nice to her, she'll go off with somebody else. I don't mean that literally. It's the same with your customers. Say to them you love them and you want them, and this is what we're doing, and this is where we're up to, and we want to listen to you. Yes. Don't just in your office with your keyboard. Get out there with. Let's have some fun. Let's go back to being cooks and servers.
Yeah, I think you're quite right. I think Ali's just got some flowers there, and she make sure she gets some flowers tonight, mate. You know what I mean? So yeah, she loves you, mate. What am I gonna say? Yeah, and let's just basically wrap this up. Cover more, and I think we'll wrap it up because we're getting on for time. So, great food, great service, and money will be the byproduct.
Yeah, good point, John. Well said. Yeah. Brilliant. That's it.
You're absolutely right, John. I think basically the three things for me, and I beat on about this all the time, there's three things we need to look at in business, John. One is basically the money coming in, revenue, money going out, cost, and then a bit in the middle, mitigating the risk. Yeah, so those are the three things. Product, you can't, and here's another subject, you can't basically generate profit. Yeah, it's a byproduct. You're absolutely right, John. Yeah.
But your product's got to be good, otherwise you'll get found out. That's really important. Be it custard, if it has lumps in it, but it tastes fantastic, and I'm thinking about coming back next Sunday, That's what it's all about. Design great products, and it doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah. JB's, and we basically, you know, we're running out of time, and I know we didn't even go into our second subject as we probably predicted. So you might have to come back and talk about, you know, sort of design and sell great products. Happy days. Bah, 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 bah. There you go. Yeah, he looks like the guy from Travelocity, mate. Have you nicked him off the TV? There you go. What can I say? Yeah, there's a bit of branding for.
Let me just smile, didn't they?
You always make me smile, JB's. Yeah, you know, I'm just glad you didn't swear on my show. Happy days. So yeah, the money's moved and basically become famous. I mean, we'll come back and talk about that. It just leaves me to say, guys, you know, thank you very much, JB's. Yeah, you know, it comes out on podcast. Just let you know, we run a show tomorrow, and I'm basically talking to Joe Kenny tomorrow. So basically, Hospitality Hints. This is when I deep dive with industry experts, and tomorrow we're going to talk about the mice market. So that's coming on tomorrow, and that's on the same sort of show, LinkedIn Live at 10 o'clock. It just leaves me just to say, JB's, yeah, thank you very much, sir. Yeah, you've been an absolute pleasure to talk to again, a font of knowledge, and, you know, thank you very much, yeah, for those people who listened in. Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Nigel. Thank you.